Welcome to Love My Dubb. I'm just super excited about this episode because I have been working on teaching courses, creative, and also, helping more people help more people. And that's part of my mission is to be able to help you produce the outcomes and the results you're searching for. So let's dive into this episode and make sure you have the tools, the technology, and the support you need to make it matter, to be able to go out and grow your network and your information on a regular basis. Let's dive in.
Hi, Scott Sullivan here. A lot of you know me as Sully. Dubb has doubled my business in the last year. You are about to go on a journey with Russ Johns. Welcome to I Love Dubb.
Well, the best thing about Dubb is the fact that I can make so many personal contacts with it, and it's so on point.
Why do I love Dubb? Let me count the ways. One, because my friend Russ Johns uses it and he knows things.
Boom. Welcome to Love My Dubb. Hey, Ruben, I know your time is limited, so I wanted to jump in and actually have you share a couple of things. And your experience with courses versus cohorts is the topic today. And what we're doing together, working with Dubb, and we've worked together for a long time. I'm a huge #1 fan of Dubb. I actually have my Dubb shirt on today. So the reality is as you expand your business and your reach, what are you helping to achieve with either courses or creating Pro Plus plans or helping people with automation and growth? Because that's where the secret sauce really lies, is in this expansion of using the tool and allowing Dubb to help you grow your business. So maybe you could expand on that.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, Russ. How is my audio? Is it good?
Your audio is exactly like it should be in a car.
All right, good. This is my favorite recording booth, so it's fully sound insulated here. Thank you for this question. This is a really important question, and I really like this topic of courses versus cohorts. And I think that, we should all just take a moment right now to be very honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, how many courses have we purchased that we did not complete? How many courses that we've purchased that we maybe started and never got to the end? How many courses have we purchased where we bought them and never even touched them because we were sold on the idea, and it was this, amazing price with 3 red slashes through the price, and we just couldn't refuse the offer. The FOMO, the fear of missing out, was too massive to not be able to take this. And I think that we can all agree that, we have all done this in some capacity in our lives where we bought a course and we didn't take it. Now, my intention here is to not say anything bad about courses, because for every one course that we haven't taken, hopefully there's 5 or 10 that we have taken. And as a result, we've learned and progressed and evolved so much. I know that's the case for me. My success rate is probably about 70%. 70% of the courses that I purchase, I end up completing, going through, and actually getting something out of. And I think that's probably a decent number. And I think that the interesting thing about the idea of a cohort is that you start something with a group of like-minded individuals that probably share a very similar challenge or struggle. And then you go through a journey with a guide, in this case, of course, Russ Johns, the Russ Johns. And then you come out on the other side after, let's say, a month, and you're in a new state. There's an after state. We are in a new mindset. We have a new skill set, and we are ready, set, go to grow our business, right? So so I really like the idea of a cohort. It's not as easy as a course. I want to be very, very clear about this. A course can be pre-recorded. It's a fully asynchronous machine. The person can go to a website, put a credit card in, take the course on their own time, and then receive a certificate or receive some sort of completion, and that's fine and dandy. In this case, it's a very handheld situation where you have a guide, you come in with problems. Hey, I would love to build an automated workflow. I would love to be able to create a smart sequence, as Rob calls it, so that when I meet a lead at a conference, or if they fill out a form on my website, or if I have a discovery call for them, or if it's someone that raised their hand through one of my sales or marketing efforts, that I can actually start a sequence of messages that get sent to them. These could be emails, these could be SMS. I could also make the contact journey tracking all sort of available and seamless in my CRM, in this case using Dubb, or synced to the CRM of your choice. But the key here is to engage with our audience, and then also have smarter tracking on the back end so that we can understand their journey, and then as a result make smarter choices and ultimately build more relationships and drive more revenue. So Russ, thank you so much for hosting this effort. We can't wait to introduce you to so many people that have needed guidance on building smarter, better automations, because after all, automations are the final frontier, and here we are to guide you through that process.
Well, one of the things that I want to amplify from your message, Ruben, is that we all have the same amount of time, and we all want to do more on a regular basis than we actually have time for. And so these simple techniques in automation can actually save you an abundance of time. However, you still have to go through the process of either implementing it, have someone implement it, or have someone assist you and support you through that journey. And I know that Darius, you've been doing a lot of this work in the back end, and I think you have a Pro Plus plan that allows people to knock it out, get it done. You're quick and effectively. And so what we want to do is we want to offer alternatives for individuals. We want to provide a course so they can do it self-paced and ask questions when needed. And also, like Ruben alluded to, having a cohort where it's a team where you get to actually interact with other people in the environment. You get to interact with, myself and some of the individuals that are struggling or implementing or producing results with their Dubb accounts. And then the other third element, I think that it's really important, I want you to expand on, Darius, is this element of, I just need it done quickly, effectively, and we just need to knock it out, a couple of days and boom, we're done. And maybe you can share your experience with that and what we can hope to accomplish together.
Right. No, so I'm a man of action in some regards. Like, I like to get things done quickly, efficiently, the fastest, most effective way to get there. And I have seen people spend a lot of time spinning their tires and things like that, just sort of contemplating, I know I need to build an automation. And then so 1 month, 2 months, looking at tools. Okay, finally, let me do a trial on this thing. Another week or more wasted, sort of just exploring. And so I've seen a lot of time wasted. And then I've seen on the opposite side of that spectrum, I've seen people build a workflow and implement it in a matter of like 48 hours, right? Like, we meet, we talk about, okay, there's always that first concept of what are we trying to automate? Mm-hmm. We discuss that, then actually say, here's your homework, right? Go knock out these videos, write that subject body, create the cadence that you're trying to replace yourself with. Mm-hmm. That's the majority of the work, actually, is just determining, what would I say if I had all the time in the world?
What am I going to say?
Right. What am I going to say? If I was free at 12 o'clock every day to message every one of my clients that I just spoke to last week, what would I do? I would say, hey guys, great speaking with you last week. And I just wanted to update you here. In 2 weeks, something's coming up. Right. And then boom, that same video, that's what you would say. And then, so that's really the most time consuming part of building a workflow, is really just thinking about what you would do, what you would say in a video, in a text, at those given steps. That is the most time consuming part. And like I said, when someone's dialed in, when they really just sit down and say, okay, here's what I would do, that process doesn't take very long. It doesn't take very long because you already know what you're going to say to most of your clients if you just sat down and thought about it. Say, okay, if I met them on Monday and then they didn't show up to their appointment on Tuesday, what would I say to them? I would say, hey, I saw you missed your appointment. Please book another time. So boom, there is your missed your appointment workflow. And then you have another one that says, hey, I still saw you still didn't book your time. Please find a new time below. I know this was important for you. And then finally, a third step, which is, I've reached out a couple of times to reschedule your meeting. This will be my last touch. So if you really, this is the time to take advantage of it, grab your whatever, right? There's an example of a 3 message, you missed your appointment sequence. So that's really the bulk of it, is just coming up with what we want to say, why we want to say it, and actually implementing it, actually using the technology. That's like 5 minutes. That's simple. It's a breeze when you have support with somebody from either yourself or from our team or from whatever. The technical part of it is the easy part. In fact, the just saying what you want to say, it's also not too hard, but conceptually, it's new to some people. They're like, wait, what would I say? I don't know. Let me think about that for a while. So,
well, and to your point, I think there's a lot of individuals that probably haven't thought about the actual process that they may want to go through. They may, it may not be structured in their organization yet. So building that strategy and outlining exactly what areas you can go to create automation, I think that's part of the strategy piece that we want to make sure that everybody understands. And you're so good at it, Darius, that you quickly can outline this and explain it in a very effective way to the individuals you're working with. And I think that's one of the pieces of the puzzle that, in a cohort, we can actually have that discussion and say, oh, I hadn't thought about that automation before.
Exactly.
I haven't thought about missed meetings.
Right. The missed meeting
card.
People don't even think about that until wow, actually, I've missed a lot of meetings. People didn't show up to my meetings, and then I'm chasing them down, calling them, emailing them, and I'm wasting a lot of time doing that when you have so many missed appointments. And so this is one of those problems that we don't even realize that there's a solution to until you realize that, oh, wow, this actually is a bigger problem than I would have anticipated. And so
how much time have I missed?
Right. Exactly. And then so when someone else, you're in a cohort and someone says, yeah, so we're getting a lot of missed appointments. And so we want, and then they realize, wow, actually, I miss a handful of appointments too. It could be really nice to just say, click, tag, and now that guy's getting followed up with until he rebooks. So that is actually why the benefit of the cohort and of working with people that have done this before in all different industries. We know what's going to help you. And
bought the shirt.
Right. Exactly. It's like, okay, so you've done this, you've helped others successfully do this. You need to speak to someone like that, because they're going to find little holes in your game and your approach and your strategy where you're like, well, have you tried this? Did you do that? That's the true benefit of working with someone who's done it before in any field, really.
Yeah. So Rob, have you ever missed somebody calling you or attending a meeting from you?
Yeah. I mean, it happens a lot. I think a lot of us, well, not a ton, but I mean, in our life, like Darius is saying, sometimes you don't know it's a problem till, oh yeah, that's happening.
Yeah.
There's water coming out over here. How do I stop that leak? That you're not even paying attention to. So I think everything Darius mentioned with that in terms of the automations, like it's amazing, and the cohort stuff you mentioned, as far as having that group together, because when we do the daily trainings with Dubb, what Darius runs, when I filled in every once in a while, it's a nice feeling to feel that when people are in there learning, they're able to ask questions that some people didn't even think of. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, what about that? And then they learn about that. So I think that's really big. And having like the Sherpas like you guys, leading the people up the mountain, they got to know which steps to take and what path that's going to save them the most time and learn the most. So the cohort is fantastic.
Well, and there's always multiple ways to create the same outcome in technology. And what in fact, Darius does this incredibly well, is he knows exactly from point A to point B in Dubb how to achieve the results that people are looking for. So when they ask that question, it's very clean, it's very concise, it's very, like he says, he likes to take action, he likes to get it done, knock it off his plate and get it, move on. And also, in a cohort, there's a lot of conversation, a lot of communication that takes place where you can imagine different outcomes for your business as a result of seeing a new perspective from individuals. So I think it's important to recognize the value of each space, you know, a course has value, a cohort has value, and focused attention on your getting your results immediately also has value. And depending on where you are in your business, we want to offer you the opportunity to choose what path you want to take in that journey for your business. So I think it's important to understand that there are choices, there are opportunities. And also, if you want to get on the wait list, you know, join Love My Dubb and / cohort. And I'll put that up in the notes. And just make sure that you're on the wait list, and we can actually implement some things and help you on your journey with Dubb, because it's an absolute time saver. It makes a difference. So in everything you're doing. What are some other opportunities that Dubb presents itself with for you, Rob, from your perspective, from a sales and partnerships?
Well, you know, a lot of people, we talk about the percentage all the time. You know, a lot of people just aren't aware how, number one, the video, actionable, trackable video can be used in sales. And number two, how really effective it is. I mean, we really blow the horn all the time of like, listen, video works. It really does work. There are a number of metrics with percentages on retention rates, how fast someone learns, response rates, click-through rates, video views, all this stuff where if you're a sales professional and you're trying to break through and get to that person, video is an absolute way to do that. And the numbers back it up. You know, even in the sports world, you know, analytics has taken over, you know, so when you do scouting and you look at these different teams, you're like, whoa, when I break down the numbers, the path becomes very clear, because sometimes the noise can cloud the judgment. You know, well, I write great emails. Well, that's fantastic. How are your open rates doing? And then there's quiet, right? And then like, how are the response rates? Quiet. Oh, you know, I send a YouTube link. Oh, great. So they have all the commercials and there's none of your branding in there. Right. Problem. So a lot of the times people have misconceptions about what video is in sales. So the biggest thing is, once we can educate them on that, then they finally, whoa, it's like they found, you know, gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah. I want to add to that too, because the piece that people often make mistake, also they're very guilty of this when it comes to the courses and cohorts, is people that are relatively newer or inexperienced in business are always seeking a silver bullet. Maybe even some people with some chops are seeking the silver bullet. And in reality, that you're very unlikely to ever find this one magic thing that's just going to do this, right? Everything is incremental. It's repeat, it's practice, it's improvement, you know, through stages. And so I think what happens too is some people will say, oh, I'm looking for the silver bullet. And then you're expecting silver bullet. So you're like, well, I made 5 videos, so I'm expecting 5 sales, right? And it's like, well, that's sort of not a realistic expectation. What's a very realistic expectation, seriously, we've measured it and countless times, is things like a 20%, 50% increase in response, click-through, reply rates. Now, 50%, like when you say send 10 messages and you got 1 response when it's text, you send 10 videos, you got 2 responses, that's 100% increase in your response rates. Yeah. So it becomes very critical, like Rob was just mentioning with the analytics component, measuring your results is the only way to actually define what your baselines is, what your success is. So measuring actually becomes very critical when we're setting ourselves up for success or failure, because your expectation is here, you're not doing any measuring, you don't know what true outcomes are. You're like, well, I sent 5, I should have 5, right? And it's like, well, no. Let's do math. You've sent 100 before and you got 1. So we're looking at a 1%, and now let's compare adding video. Now we're at 20%. So we had a 2,000% increase. It's happened. Like, number of responses are far better when doing video. So just make sure we're measuring first. And one other thing on the course versus cohorts is, it really comes down to personality types and bandwidth and things like that as well. Like in college, I was the type of person, like I would go to class as least often as I possibly could. And I would just study the syllabus, and then go pass the exam with a good grade, because I could do that. I was responsible and I would study what I needed to. That's the course. That is your own schedule, your own responsibility. And then many people who did that, they didn't show up to class, and then they didn't do good on the final because that wasn't their personality type. They weren't a self-focused sort of person that's going to do their own thing. And now that's perfectly acceptable. That's why there's classes. That's why they host classes. And that's why I expect you to show up. And I would say that a lot of people need that sort of accountability, the hand-holding, the direct mouth lessons. Like, here, I'm teaching you this, and now you're going to remember it. Versus if you just read something yourself. I mean, the fact is, people retain information better when it's articulated by another person through video or in speech versus you just reading it, because you've heard it, you saw it, a person said it. There's more your things for your brain to remember of it. And now, of course, there's exceptions. Some people are like, savants, and they just read something, they'll remember. I'm not talking about you guys. So
not you guys.
Yeah, just the majority of people will retain something better when they've heard it via community, because this is how we speak naturally since the beginning of human civilization. This is how we're genetically programmed to communicate and remember information. Writing is only, less than 10,000 years old. So our brains are genetically predispositioned to retain and understand and communicate better person to person. So there you go.
And the one thing, Russ, if I want to say real quick on that too, the power of looking into the camera and speaking. I mean, that's why YouTube videos and all these, across all these social media platforms, have become so popular in terms of people really leaning in and listening, because they feel like you're talking right to them, talking as opposed to
talking
something
to you.
right, as opposed to like filming something where there's a conversation happening. The videos that do this do way better. And the difference with the sales part is the actionability of the videos. Setting something where someone can, below that video, take an action. That's one of the biggest parts of it.
I want to, and that's a great point. Thank you for sharing that, Rob, because I think a lot of people, everyone that I've ever dealt with or coached or supported or helped along the way, they don't care for their voice on recording, and they don't care for the way they look on camera. So once you accept that, and once you identify that as one of the challenges you have to get past, which we all do, the third point that I think is really important, and Darius, you probably run into this on multiple occasions, is like I have, is the overwhelm from technology itself. And it's like riding a bike. It's scary at first. It's, you have to get on, you have to practice, you have to get comfortable with it. And once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. It's more accessible. It's easier to produce results with. And I think that's one of the things that courses and cohorts and also personalized training does, is allow the individual to achieve a level of confidence where they're not overwhelmed and fear the technology. So
I think that's very, very true. Yeah, because when someone isn't shown how to consume information, they're going to go about it. Like you're handed a math book. You're like, there's a lot of information in here. What am I supposed to do with this? That's sort of what it's like when you're looking at a robust software platform. You're like, there's so much stuff here. What do I even do? There's like hours of tutorial videos. Am I supposed to watch that all? And in reality, you could read the math book and watch all those videos, and it's probably going to be overwhelmed, too much information at one time, and you're not even actually accomplishing what you set out for. And again, that's where the class comes in, the cohort, the course, the focus on what you're actually trying to accomplish, because there's this much information. The book is this thick, right? But you actually just need chapter 11 on how to do this thing, right? That's all you needed. And again, that's where the cohort or the group, the peer group that you're with, the training, the trainer, that's really where that benefit comes in, and you're saving that much more time, becoming that much more effective. And one thing I also want to say regarding the bike thing, it's a perfect analogy, is once you learned how to ride a bike, you can pretty much ride any bike. I mean, like there's some gears, maybe a couple little things, but you understand the structure of it. And software is almost exactly the same. Once you understand the basics of how a marketing software works, something like Dubb or Active Campaign, because like every time I see a new software, like someone's like, here's my site. And I'm like, I go in, okay, click here, click. And they're like, wait, I don't even know the software this well. I'm like, I don't know it either. It's all the software is built the same. So it becomes like a reflex. It's a muscle that you develop. Like you learn how software works. Yeah. And sort of all of a sudden the book is open and you understand the language now. So
that's a great point, Darius. I really love that. Love that idea, because we don't have to be overwhelmed by this process. Take it at your own pace. And how many times have you actually wanted to find out a piece of information? So you go to YouTube, you watch a dozen videos, and you get 80% of the information you need. However, the last 20% is the thing you need to unlock everything together. And it would be really nice to be able to have somebody you could actually reach out to and say, type a message and say, hey, can you jump on a call and help me finish this last 20%? And that's what we're looking to accomplish with this process with Dubb is the courses, the cohorts, the personalized service, the elements that you need to be successful. And I think it's important to understand that, we're doing something that you are looking to accomplish, and we want to help you get there. And it's important for people to realize that, because it's not happening everywhere. It's really tragic, but this is what we're looking to accomplish at Dubb.
I remember when we first started Dubb, and I was, investigating all these other platforms like HubSpot and Infusionsoft, and a lot of pain that I heard from people is that, like, look, I had to hire a consultant that costs, a lot of money per hour, and the work is very, very slow. Like, they're like, oh, just do this and then do that. And then, it became much more expensive than just the software itself. And at first that sort of frustrated me. I was like, oh, I don't understand that. Why, they're building this so they can maybe just make more money off of the consultants. And it's not the case at all. The fact is that people need support. And when you're using a robust technology, the level of support needs to have talent and education and skill to be able to support at that level, which is not cheap. It's to have someone who is talented enough to consult you on any business, right? To be able to fit your needs. There's definitely research, education, talent that goes into that ability. So now as we've progressed, I understand now, as you build up more features, more functions, you can say you can put all this stuff there, but people sometimes need support. As I mentioned in the beginning, there's the guy like myself, I'll just read the syllabus, show up, take the test. There are people like that. There are others that say, you know what, I'm not going to read this whole stupid book. Just tell me the stuff that I need, show me exactly what I need. And then they're good to go that way. So I think that there's both types of people. And now I understand why they have that consultative approach, because I also know that when someone is more invested, when you've gone to class every day, you are more invested in that product, service, class, course, cohort, whatever it is. When you're regularly attending, when you have that accountability, you're more invested. When you've spent more money, you're more invested. And therefore you will put more of your effort and energy into that thing succeeding, which that probably ends up being the number one thing you need, is just some effort. Say, I'm going to get this done. And it happens. So,
yeah. Well, I want to wrap this up because, we've kind of been nerding out a little bit on the technique and the technology, but from a sales perspective, like implementing this, if you're in an environment with a HubSpot is the primary and the principal platform that you're using, or you're in a Salesforce.com environment. I've spent years in the CRM space and developing workflows and automation and email and everything that goes along with that. Each, like Darius says, each platform has its own unique principles. However, they're very similar. And once you understand the framework and the way they work, you can actually leverage your sales initiatives to use Dubb, use video, and actually reach more people and accomplish more and bigger goals with automation as well. So from a sales perspective, Rob, what would you recommend to people think about or consider from a sales perspective if they're thinking about automation? And let's see if we can't wrap this up today.
Yeah, I would say just keep in mind, the reason this technology has been created is to make things easier for you, not more difficult. So once you understand that learning what you're going to learn is going to make it easier, then I think that helps from a mindset perspective. Instead of looking at it as like a block, you're looking at it as a pathway through. So if don't hesitate, automate, right? There we go.
Absolutely. The salesperson's number one biggest problem is following up. They say that 75% of salespeople don't follow up. And I understand why, because it's annoying. It's time consuming. It's frustrating because you're like, well, if they would have bought, they would have already bought. If I follow up, you tell yourself these things. And so don't do that. Just automate, put them into a workflow. Okay, they didn't show up to their appointment. They didn't buy yet. Put them into a drip. Have that happen for you automatically. I promise you, it'll make your life easier and you will make more money as a result.
Relationship selling. I've had clients literally that I've connected with for over a year, just kind of touching base every once in a while. Hey, I'm here. And then finally they say, hey, can you help me?
And they would not have done that had you not had some follow-up in place. And
Bingo.
frankly, we're all human. We're going to
We're all
forget.
human.
We're going to forget. And so when you put them into a system, there's no opportunity. The system's not going to forget. You will, but the system won't. So that's, again, why we built these systems in place.
Well, thank you, Darius, for that, because like I said, I'm a huge fan of Dubb. I'm a huge fan of the process and the principles behind what they stand for. And Dubb was started out of a need to solve a challenging moment with Darius, and I appreciate Darius jumping on, or
both of us. Yeah, we're both in a moment where we it was perfect.
and Rob, and also having Ruben jump on. He had to jump off early, but we're all here for the same reason, and it's to help you be successful. And I just really encourage, if you're watching the replay with this, make sure that you ask questions and join us and let us know what your questions are, what challenges you hit into, and also just, connect with us.
Right.
We're here to help. Don't be afraid.
Right.
We're here. So thank you, Darius. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you guys, and look forward to talking about. I got a couple of things left to tweak. I got a couple of videos that hopefully we'll get up maybe in the next 24 hours. And I want to share those with the community, because it's important for us to continue to move forward. As we're starting December tomorrow, we've got a lot of things that are, we're going to wrap up for the last quarter of the year. I can't believe it's December already. However, let's dive in, help each other out, and make sure that we can make it matter. And sign up for Dubb, because it's the right thing to do. Right down below. All right. All right, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care. I like that. I like that a lot. See you next week.